Welcome to the next episode of KapVista Klips. Today we're here with Geoffrey from iEP2, who's going to talk about his technology. How are you, Geoffrey?
Very well, Daniel. Thanks for having me.
That's okay. So we really want to get into your story, your background, and understand what you are bringing to the market. So what is your startup story?
Well, I, with a group of other investors in another entity, had a technology, had a core technology, the core technology that we've developed in a much earlier version. And there was a desire to recapitalize the business for reasons I won't go into now. The main shareholder declined, and we were able to acquire that core technology, which we then put into another entity, which is iEP2. So iEP2 is made up of about 8 investors, some of whom were investors in this previous entity. I think that's probably an indication of their enthusiasm and passion for the technology and the problem that the technology solves. We have a board of directors, 4 directors, 3 of whom were previous investors, including me, and Mark Crozier, our UK director and CTO. The current investment in the company is about $2 million. In the previous entity, it was about $4 million, something like that. And since we acquired the technology, we've further developed the technology into various iterations. And we're now at the point where we want to go to the market to raise capital to take it and the technology into its market-ready stage.
Yeah. So how did you find yourself in this industry, and what do you like about it the most?
Well, a long-term business associate rang me one day. He had just exited from his family business and spoke to me about a technology in this previous entity, which solved a problem of which he was technically aware because he's an electrical engineer. His company was an engineering company. And suggested that maybe we should get together and jointly invest in this business. But that's how that came about. I, with him, did some due diligence, and I was quite frankly incredulous that the industry would accept that a safety switch, which our technology is about, that would allow a 30 milliamp shock. In other words, a 30 milliamp shock is very serious, cause a lot of physical damage and mental damage. And so that was the attraction for him, and he convinced me that that was a worthy problem to fix, and that the technology was an opportunity to make a global difference. And that's basically how that came about.
Okay. So what's the problem? What's the solution? And tell me more about your technology.
What I suggest we do is go into it's much easier to visually.
Perfect.
All right, you can see that.
Yes.
And so basically, there has been an evolution of the technology since the mid 1800s when Thomas Edison first invented the fuse, and it's gone through various iterations, and ABB took it to another level, and then a company called CBI, a South African company, invented the actual safety device, which is known as an RCD generally, or GCFI. We've come along in 2019 with the current prototype and developed an integrated, a new technology which is integrated with the RCD. And the reason we've done that is because the RCD is not a reliable technology. In other words, that 30 milliamp shock is a risk, as well as, of course, death. But sometimes that technology doesn't work in itself, or the electrical system, for whatever reason in the building, or in a much broader sense, is not functioning properly. So it's not giving you 100% protection. And then in 2023, we're now going to the market with not only that technology to be taken to the commercial stage, but we're adding to that technology two other capabilities, which is a SaaS technology and an automated testing.
Okay.
So basically, we've solved a problem of the intermittent failure of an RCD, which is a safety device. And we've done that because of the risk to humans and the risk of severe physical and mental distress. And the testing and maintenance through the SaaS system is in response to the costs involved in testing in situ these devices, which is absolutely expensive. And the technology is unique, and it's superior to anything else that's on the market. We have patents. It's a large global market, about 500 million devices are sold annually. So not only is there a large, a very big annual volume in sales, there's also a very big in situ technology, which requires to be tested once or twice a year. So basically, the issue is a health and safety problem. Describe that to injury to people, mentally and physically. Mm-hmm. And what is interesting is that Australia has been the world leader in regulating the market so that there are measures in place to ensure that these devices are tested once or twice a year, depending on the environment, which is a very expensive process and is not always done for that reason, and is not always done around the world for that reason. Australia was the first to impose regulations with penalties if a owner of a building, a plant, did not test in accordance with the regulation. Regulations worldwide are the same. Just a case of having penalties in place to ensure that they are so the problem associated with that is reliability, which I just talked about earlier on. And the fact is that the RCDs do not always work, and the environment make it difficult for the RCD, or possible for the RCD to in fact function for whatever reason. So over a period, we've come up with a solution, or a number of solutions. So in the earlier version, in that earlier company, they came up with a particular technology, which was called the iEP2. And we then brought that technology and combined it with an RCD, which is a safety switch, to create integrated technology, which is both more reliable than the conventional safety switch. The safety switch, by the way, just looks like this. Typically, that's a Schneider product. It can be 3 times wider than that. This is 18mm single pole. And that is the sort of technology that people have in their homes and in their businesses and in their factories. In Australia, all circuits, most circuits, are required to be protected by one of these.
Yeah, so that's a government enforced or government mandated product. So the industry, especially in Australia and now in the UK, is the demand for the product is always going to be there because it's a government legislated.
Yes. So in Australia, for example, you have about 11 million of these things sold a year. About 6,000 of those are sold to industry and commerce, and those 6,000 have to be tested once
Yeah.
or twice a year. And that is a very big expense for business. It's a very time-consuming one.
Yeah.
And if and I think the interesting point with these things is that unless you test them, you don't actually know whether they're working or not.
Yeah.
And we actually have solved that problem as well. I'll come
Yeah.
to that in a second.
Yeah.
So what we've done is that we've taken our IFS technology, applied it within RCD, and the plan now in this next capital raise is to incorporate a SaaS service with an IoT capability. But in addition to that, we will have another technology, and I'll explain later how this is going to be implemented, which will automatically test and automatically isolate the circuit, which is part of the test procedure you have to undertake, and automatically reclose. And that will be a world first. And what is also significant is that we will incorporate it in a device that is no bigger than that. That's the testing. I'll come to that in a second. So what we have will be developing is a range of products. I won't go into detail of all of these. It'll be a multi-product offering. And what we've decided to do is to focus on the testing, the automated testing, and produce a module which attaches to the competition products. For example, Hager, Schneider, this product here, Legrand, ABB, Siemens, all these products, we will be able to interface with those. The issue for the regulator is that the automatic closing has to be done separately. In other words, you can't have automatic testing incorporated in a standard RCD or RCBO. Can't do it. You've got to have a separate module. And I'll explain what's happening in the market at the moment. We will be developing these modules, which will then clip on to these devices. And what will be a world first is that it'll be a single hole, 18 millimeter. Currently, the reclosing capability is available by major companies like ABB and Siemens, but it's 3 times that wide, which is a problem. It takes up a lot of space. But we will be taking up only 18 millimeter. And so what will happen is that our device, this is just, so let's call that, assume that's an RCD. Our device will come in and just clip onto it, produce a device which will then be able to self-test and also not only test, but also provide the reports.
That's highly valuable.
Well, it is. And if I just explain what's happening in the market in Australia, Australia is the only market in the world where a technology exists which automatically tests the RCDs and RCBOs, these safety features. And on this slide, if you can just, on the left-hand side, and is the what is called an RCD rapid test system. That's an Australian invented and patented technology. And that's being marketed by one company in Australia. They've got exclusive rights to this technology, and they're the ones who are providing this technology as part of their offering of installations involving RCDs and all sorts of other devices. The problem with this technology is that every device has to be wired So you have a separate unit, which is this thing here, and you have to wire that into every device. And that is a very expensive, time-consuming installation. Because they cannot automatically reclose, it means that you have to have an electrician, a technician on site to reclose the device after the test has been performed. So it then functions as a device. Our device will be a device that will just attach, there's a clip-on to a standard safety switch, which is this here. And through our SaaS IoT capability, we will be able to open and reclose and test automatically without the technician being involved. And that is not only a lower capital outlay, but it eliminates the labor costs that you've got, that you incur once or twice a year. It is quite significant.
Yeah. So what you're saying here is that not only are you going after the device market, but you're also going after the testing market and providing a software to innovate this industry.
Yes. So we become, if you like, a electrical safety technology that provides a total solution. We provide a more effective RCD, if you like, safety switch, a safer one, in a way which no one else can do. And we provide the automated testing, which no one else can do. It's a total package.
Yeah. So that's you're playing in multiple different markets. So your target market size and potential, revenue is, expanded into multiple markets.
Yeah, so you have just the device, like the IFS RCD type technology, and then if you want to add to that the testing, you have that as another a market as well. So that there are multiple products in the offering, depending on the requirement of the user, and you have a retrofit market as well. So you not only got the new device market, installation market, but you have the in situ. So in other words, every device that's out there at the moment, in the commercial, industrial, and also domestic, less frequency, they all have to be tested.
Yeah.
And that's tens and tens of millions.
Yeah. So you're going after the new device market, but also retrofit the old market, yes. which is a pretty sizable. And that's not just in Australia, that's, the UK, the US, Canada as well, and Germany.
Yes, and also in the Middle East, where they have major problems, in Africa, they have major problems in Southeast Asia. These are very vulnerable markets, and we provide a technology that overcomes some serious infrastructure problems, meaning that electric shocks, by whatever degree, are a common event, more common than they are in the established first world.
Yeah, perfect. So tell me, how did the team come together? Who are the people behind this company?
Well, first of all, you've got these core shareholders who had a passion for the technology and have stayed with it and have continued through external capital raisings to contribute capital to the gradual development of the technology. Dr. Richard Harris was our original CTO. He's still there in the background, but Richard had another involvement, which is acquired by one of the majors, and is currently involved in that as their CTO, to take that technology to market. He will be available next year sometime. So to the company in some capacity. Richard has an extensive background in academia and in numerous startups, and it was through one of those startups that I got to know him through a venture capital company in Australia, which I knew very well. I knew it for many decades, and they introduced us to Richard, who, when he became available from that particular life with that company that he had in the States, he then joined us and undertook the initial integration of the IFS with the safety. Mark Crozier contacted us in 2018, and he became aware that we were working on an IoT technology and offered services there because he's an IoT expert. What we discovered after discussing with him his interest in us, discovered that he's one of the world leaders in the development of safety switches, and has had a major startup which developed and pioneered the first digital safety switch. And he has a deep history in the industry, and worked with some of the major international companies in the area. So he brought to our venture, to our company, a deep industry level of expertise that was almost unparalleled in the sophistication of its achievements. And so we invited him to join us as a director. And when Richard had to withdraw CTO, Mark became our CTO as well. So he's our UK director. That's where he lives. And he's also now our CTO. And has already played a very significant role in developing concepts of the clip-on modules and the technology that
Okay, so tell us more about the industry, the clients, and the partners that you're working with.
Well, as part of the developing the business model, business plan, we have established an alliance with an Australian company that has a major overseas manufacturing plant producing these sorts of devices, and not only as an OEM, also, but they are in fact manufacturing these sorts of devices, and also doing OEM work for some of the major companies. So there are products out in the field under brand names, major brand names, which they have designed in some cases, which they have manufactured on behalf of some of the major suppliers to the market. So we've established an alliance with that, and we've had a very close cooperation in developing our technology, the way in which it integrates safety solutions. This company has a distribution network of 106 plus wholesalers and distributors around the globe, and they will become a master distributor in those markets for our technology. They're very keen on our technology. They know it very well. They understand it. Their belief is there's a very significant market. They want to be part of the action, and so we have come to the agreement in principle for them to be a master distributor in those particular markets where they have a dominant presence.
Okay, so what?
I'm sorry, there's other things as well.
Yep.
We're also in discussions with major suppliers of a broad range of electrical technology, integrating these technologies of which the safety switches are part. And so we are in discussions with them regarding our technology and entering into some sort of collaboration with a view to becoming a major client for the Australian market, which for us is very important because, again, we've got a captive market here. We've got the regulator, the governments forcing users to test, and we have the ability to compete with the current technology that's described, the rapid test, and in fact become a major disruptor in the Australian market, which hasn't happened so far.
Okay. And what sort of milestones have you achieved up until this point?
Of course, the major milestone is the actual development of the technology in its various approach types. And that has been, for us, quite significant. We're working on a very limited budget. The technology has been developed by Richard and by Mark. But also we've had the University of Newcastle in the development of the most recent integration of this. So there have been some major works done over the last few years, resulting in the position. There's been considerable research done into the market. So what we have established a very substantial business plan and go-to-market strategy. In no small matter, a lot of research has gone into that, and understanding of the market to enable us to engage in the global markets. As I mentioned earlier, we've established an alliance with an important manufacturer, OEM, and through that, secured understanding as master distributor agreement that giving us access to 106 plus MSPs and local wholesalers, distributors, and we have a technology that we're well positioned for trade sale or an IPO on the path that we decided. But we believe that we are very attractive, where once we have developed our technologies and taken them to the marketplace, we believe it will be a very attractive industry.
Yeah. Okay. So we can see the slide on the screen now, but you know, how much you're raising, what's it being used for, and what's the offer? We can see the offer there, but how much you're raising and what's the use of funds?
Right. So we're raising 8.5 million, and that is for 36% of the company, with a post valuation of 23.5 million. And just as a side, just mention that the funds that we've invested in our own company, previous company, we've got about $6 million already spent on this technology. The use of funds, we've developed a strategy to minimize the investment. So in other words, we're looking to engage with external R&D companies, service providers, and in Newcastle, we have research and development companies who have developed an expertise in earthing because of the mining industry. But we have a very high level of Newcastle, and we will be utilizing those skills. So rather than invest in a huge R&D team, we having a minimal R&D team need to coordinate and take some specific internal development. They will be integrating their activities with external to external companies who have significant expertise as well. So we will be minimizing the capital outlay in buildings, equipment, and we'll be minimizing the outlays in staff for team of R&D experts. We will strengthen our patents, because we have a whole range of new products that want to now patent. And then we will also have to bring in a high quality management team and build some an international team. That's basically how we do this.
Okay, so just to recap, you are a hardware and a software company that's disrupting, an established market, but also the testing market that goes along with it. Both of them are very large markets and have a global reach and a global demand. In most countries, it is government legislative driven. So there's always going to be a demand there, and your technology and your solution is far better than what's currently out in the market.
Absolutely, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So there's always going to be demand for what you're doing, which means that your market will keep growing. And the more devices that are sold, the more the market grows. More houses are built, more buildings are being built. And even if we look at, like you said, the Middle East and North Africa, as development continues, and if you look into the recent news, I mean, in the Middle East alone, they're doing, they've got the next 20 years worth of construction planned. So there's going to be a long and huge demand for what you're doing. So if any investors are looking at this, and I'm sure you would have seen a safety switch on a safety device on your house, you would have known what that is, and what this technology does is far better.
I have to emphasize, by the way, the market is more than the houses. It's office buildings and factories.
Yeah. So there's a lot more to it. But for anybody who's looking at just for context, you've got one of the existing devices on your house. What iEP2 does is far better.
No question.
Yeah. Okay, we'll wrap it up at that. Thank you very much for jumping on with me. If anybody has any questions, wants to chat with Geoffrey, anybody watching this that wants to know more, reach out to myself or my team, and we can connect you directly with Geoffrey and his team. But thank you very much for jumping on. It's great to chat to you, and I look forward to seeing the next advancements in what you're doing.
Daniel, thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Thank you.